Republican whip.
Mr. President, last Tuesday the American people spoke, and they spoke decisively. They made it clear that they've had enough of the failed Biden, Harris, Schumer agenda, and they chose President Donald Trump and Vice President-elect Vance to lead our country along with Republican majorities in the House and the Senate. I congratulate President Trump and Vice President-elect Vance on their tremendous victory. It is difficult to overstate, Mr. President, what President Trump did in this election. Republicans have improved our margins in 3 out of every 4 counties in the United States and grew support with nearly every demographic group. President Trump won more Hispanic support than any Republican president ever before, and younger voters played a crucial role in his victory. The Republican coalition is broad and strong and growing. Mr. President, the American people handed President Trump and Senate Republicans a decisive victory. And now the real work begins, delivering on our agenda. That starts with ending the Biden-Harris border crisis and deporting illegal immigrants. Also at the top of the list is strengthening our economic and fiscal future. The last 4 years of Democrat inflation have been very difficult for working Americans. And so Republicans will be focused on doing everything we can to expand economic opportunity and to increase growth. That starts with taking action via reconciliation to preserve the tax relief Republicans delivered for Americans during the first Trump administration. It's also time to check the bureaucratic machine here in Washington, D.C. A key element of making America prosperous again is taking a hatchet to the regulatory apparatus choking our economy, starting with the 1,000 Biden-Harris regulations that have already cost Americans nearly $2 trillion. And of course, a major focus of both the Trump administration and the Republican Congress will be restoring American strength to promote peace at home and abroad. That includes restoring American energy dominance for the sake of both economic growth and our national security. Mr. President, yesterday my colleagues chose me to lead Republicans here in the Senate during the 119th Congress. I'm honored by the trust they've placed in me, and I will work every day here in the Senate to serve my colleagues and to advance President Trump's agenda. My philosophy of leadership is inspired by my dad. Some of you know that I played basketball growing up. I remember one game in particular, I had 36 points and 12 rebounds. At one point in the game, there was a time when I came down on a fast break, I pulled up and made a shot off the glass. After the game, my dad pointed that out, and he said, you know, Chris was open, wide open under the basket, and you should have given him the ball. That was my dad. He hated ball hogs. He wanted me and my siblings to be team players. He always believed that if there was somebody else who had a better shot than you did, that you got him the ball. And that's my goal as leader, to pass the ball to the best positioned player, to empower everybody on the team. We have a lot of brilliant people in the Republican conference, brimming with ideas and knowledge, and it will be my job to make sure that they have the chance to use those ideas and that knowledge to strengthen our country and to make life better for the American people. That's what I focused on as chairman of the Senate Commerce Committee. It's what I focused on as whip, and it's what I plan to do as leader. The leader's office will be a resource, not a roadblock for members seeking to achieve their legislative goals. And that starts with empowering committees, which will in turn ensure that individual members at all levels of seniority have a real voice in the legislation that we consider. As whip, I've consistently advocated for our members' amendments, resulting in over 100 amendment votes this Congress. In the majority, we can do better, and I will continue my commitment to amendments as leader. The committee process is key to developing strong legislation, but all members of the Senate, and not just the members of a particular committee, should have a voice in final legislation through amendments on the floor. Members should assume that amendment votes will be the norm. That will mean taking tough votes at times. But that, folks, is part of our jobs. Members should also expect a return to regular order in the Senate next year. I will devote serious time in the summer to floor consideration of appropriations bills so that we don't constantly wind up with an end-of-the-year pileup and problematic continuing resolutions. And needless to say, the floor priority at the start of the year will be confirming President Trump's nominees. And members should expect an aggressive schedule until those nominees are confirmed. Mr. President, I know communication has been a concern for members of our conference. As whip, I've tried to be very accessible, whether that's by phone or in person. And that's something I intend to continue as Majority Leader. That includes regular, substantive updates for members and staff. Neither members nor staff should be left without information, wondering what's coming next. And I plan to have regular meetings with Speaker Johnson and with the White House to ensure smooth coordination and a strong working relationship between the House, the Senate, and the administration as we work together to implement President Trump's agenda. I'll have more to say on all of this down the road, but for now, I want to once again thank my colleagues for the trust that they have placed in me. And I will work every day to honor that trust and to serve our members and the American people. I want to also express my gratitude to Leader McConnell for his tireless service to the Republican Party and to the Senate. And I'm glad that while he may be stepping down as leader, he will still be serving here in the Senate. Mr. President, I want to again congratulate President Trump and Vice President-elect Vance. They ran a tremendous race, and it will be my honor to work with them to advance our Republican agenda. And I want to say a special word of congratulations to Vice President-elect Vance, who has been our colleague here in the Senate for the past couple of years. He made an impact right out of the gate and has been a stalwart advocate for his constituents. Now he will be a stalwart advocate for the American people. And I look forward to continuing to work with him in his new role as Vice President. Mr. President, a big thing that drew me into politics was Ronald Reagan. His philosophy of limited government and peace through strength resonated with me. But I was also drawn by his sense of humor, his optimism, and his belief in America. And I suspect that a lot of people who voted for President Trump in this election were attracted in part by the fact that President Trump conveys a lot of that optimism and faith in our country. It's been a tough 4 years for the American people. But like President Trump and Ronald Reagan, I believe that America's best days lie ahead. And I look forward to working with my Republican colleagues here in the United States Senate and with President Trump and Vice President Vance to build a strong and prosperous America and a bright new dawn for the American people. Mr. President, I yield the floor.